The Qing Conquest and Incorporation of Taiwan, 1683. How the Qing Dynasty brought Taiwan into the Chinese Empire. Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm going to walk you through a major turning point in Taiwan's history, the moment when the Qing Dynasty officially conquered Taiwan and brought it into the Chinese Empire. This happened in 1683, and it was the end of the Kingdom of Tungning and the beginning of more than 200 years of Qing rule on the island. We'll explore the events that led to this moment, the battle that decided it, and the meaning of this historical shift. We'll also take a look at how Qing rule began and what it meant for the people living in Taiwan. 1. What happened before 1683? The Ming Zheng regime. Let's go back a little. In 1661, a Ming loyalist named Zheng Chenggong, known in the West as Koxinga, led a powerful navy and army to Taiwan. He defeated the Dutch and created the Kingdom of Tungning, ruled by his family and loyal to the fallen Ming dynasty. For over 20 years, the Zheng family ruled Taiwan as a military base and trading center. They hoped to one day return to China and defeat the Qing Dynasty, who had taken over after the Ming. Zheng Chenggong died in 1662. His son, Zheng Jing, and then his grandson, Zheng Chenggong, continued ruling the island. But over time, their power weakened, and by the early 1680s, the Zheng regime was no longer strong enough to fight the Qing. 2. Qing strategy, war and negotiation. During this time, the Qing dynasty had tried several times to negotiate peace with the Zheng regime. Letters were exchanged, offers were made, and at one point, the Qing even said they were willing to let the Zhengs rule Taiwan as long as they stayed away from China and didn't rebel. But these negotiations always failed. Eventually, the Qing Emperor Kangxi decided it was time to end the resistance for good. He wanted to eliminate any threat to Qing authority and fully control Taiwan. So, in 1683, the Qing launched a military campaign. 3. The Battle of Penghu, deciding Taiwan's fate. The Qing chose a brilliant commander for the job, Shi Lang, a former Ming naval officer who had defected to the Qing. Shi Lang followed the same plan that Zheng Chenggong had used 22 years earlier, capture Penghu, the pescadores, first, then attack Taiwan. In July 1683, Shi Lang's fleet met the Zheng navy near Penghu in a massive naval battle known as the Battle of Penghu. The battle was intense. Both sides used large warships, cannons, and skilled sailors. But Shi Lang had better preparation, more firepower, and the full support of the Qing court. By July 16, the Qing had won. The Zheng navy was crushed. Penghu was taken. A total of 12,000 Zheng army officers and soldiers were killed or wounded, and more than 5,000 were captured. More than 150 Zheng army warships were destroyed or captured. Zheng's main general, Liu Guoxian, fled to Taiwan from Homen in the north on a small boat. In this battle, 329 Qing soldiers were killed and more than 1,800 were injured. Taiwan was now defenseless. 4. The Zheng regime surrenders. After the Battle of Penghu, the Qing army had formed an advantageous situation to press forward against the Zheng family group in Taiwan. After the defeat at Penghu, the Zheng regime had no chance left. The young ruler, Zheng Chenggong, and his officials knew they couldn't hold Taiwan. In September 1683, they sent a letter of surrender to the Qing court. A few Ming royal family members who had fled to Taiwan also surrendered. However, on July 20, one loyal prince, Ningjing King, Zhu Shugui, chose to commit suicide in full Ming ceremonial dress, showing his refusal to submit to the Qing. On October 8, Shi Lang arrived in Taiwan and formally accepted the surrender. Under pressure from both inside and outside, Zheng Chenggong fully accepted the Qing government's peace terms. The 22nd year of the reign of Emperor Kangxi, gave up his attempt to resist, and submitted a letter of surrender to the Qing government. 6 people including Zheng Chenggong's son, 9 people including Zheng Chenggong, the son of Zheng Jing, major officials of the Ming Qing dynasty, and descendants of the Ming dynasty royal family who moved to Taiwan with Zheng at that time were all moved to the mainland and granted Qing dynasty titles and official positions. The Ming Qing dynasty was officially destroyed, and Kangxi's expedition to Taiwan was successful. Taiwan was now under Qing control. 5. Taiwan becomes part of the Qing Empire. After the conquest, the Qing dynasty made several important decisions. A. Administrative changes. Taiwan was placed under the rule of Fujian province, and a new regional administration called the Taixia Circuit, Taixia Dao, was established. Later, more counties and prefectures were created to better manage the growing population. In terms of administrative divisions, the Qing government established the Taixia Dao in 1684, which was co-located with Xiamen and was at the same time affiliated to the Fujian province at that time. Dao was one of the administrative divisions of the Qing dynasty. Its status was between province and prefecture, and the Taixia Dao office, which was in charge of Xiamen and Taiwan, was located in Xiamen. Taiwan Prefecture was established in Taiwan, which governed Taiwan, Fengshan, and Zhuluo counties and was under the jurisdiction of Taixia Dao of Fujian province. It stationed 10,000 troops in Taiwan and Penghu respectively, appointed officials to govern, built cities for garrison, and promulgated the Taiwan Regulations on the compilation and investigation of expatriates to strictly control the number of Han people from the mainland crossing to Taiwan. In the early days of Taiwan's establishment as a prefecture, the Qing government authorized the governor of Fujian to transfer officials from the inland Fujian province to Taiwan. Therefore, most of the officials in Taiwan during the Qing dynasty were from Fuzhou. B. Economic development. The Qing encouraged farming, fishing, and trade. Rice, sugar, and camphor became major exports. The economy slowly became more stable and productive. C. Cultural policies. Confucian schools and temples were built. The Qing promoted Chinese cultural traditions, especially Confucianism. Local customs were sometimes restricted or changed to match Qing ideals. This marked the beginning of a long period where Taiwan was seen as a borderland of the Qing Empire, not the center, but no longer ignored. 6. Why was this so important? Let's step back and look at the big picture. The Qing conquest of Taiwan in 1683 was important for many reasons. 1. It ended the last serious Ming resistance. The Zheng regime had been the last hope for Ming loyalists. With their defeat, there were no more large-scale military threats to the Qing. 2. It brought Taiwan into the Chinese Empire. Before this, Taiwan had been ruled by indigenous groups, European powers, and Ming loyalists, but never officially by the imperial Chinese state. After 1683, that changed. 3. It created new conflicts and identities. Under Qing rule, Taiwan became a land of immigrants, farmers, soldiers, indigenous groups, and officials. It was a mix of cultures, and sometimes a place of tension, but also of growth. 7. Regarding Taiwan's fate. Regarding Taiwan's fate, the Beijing government originally planned to leave Taiwan after the Ming forces were defeated. All local Han people were relocated back to the mainland and Taiwan was abandoned forever, while the Han soldiers were disbanded or broken up and incorporated into the existing Qing dynasty troops. In the end, about 40,000 Ming officers and soldiers were sent back to the mainland. In 1683, the Qing government announced that all settlers in Taiwan who had no wives or permanent properties must return to the mainland, while those who already had wives and permanent properties needed to register with the local government. For the general public, since many mainland immigrants who crossed the sea to Taiwan because of the Civil War were dissatisfied with the high-pressure rule of the Zheng family, they are very willing to return to the mainland. In order to speed up the process of relocating Taiwan's population, the Qing government also changed the punishment for many crimes to repatriation to the mainland. By September 1684, Shi Lang estimated that within a year of the founding of Taiwan, the local Han Chinese population had been reduced by nearly half, while during the Zheng period the Han Chinese population in Taiwan was only about 120,000. 8. The legacy of Qing conquest. The Qing's conquest of Taiwan laid the foundation for modern Taiwan in many ways. Geographically, it tied the island more closely to China. Culturally, it introduced new institutions and values. Politically, it made Taiwan a subject of Chinese imperial power. But it also began a pattern where Taiwan was both part of China and slightly apart, a land with its own struggles, its own people, and eventually, its own path. Conclusion. The Qing Conquest of Taiwan in 1683 was not just a military victory. It was a transformational event that changed the course of Taiwanese history. It ended a period of resistance and independence under the Zheng regime. It brought Taiwan into the Qing Empire. And it started a new era of administration, migration, and identity that would continue for centuries. Even today, we can still feel the impact of this moment in Taiwan's politics, culture, and society. Thank you for listening.